Erfan Keyhani حلقه to Sciencefact as a new science. History. Professor Muhammad Ali Taheri discovered the general idea and the basic frameworks of a qualitative and softer view of the universe based on his intuitive perceptions in 1978. This idea is opposed to a quantitative and hardware view of the universe, which lays the foundation for the softer revolution thinking. He has spent a decade examining his findings to understand the basics and the principal application of his discovery in human life. Realizing and evaluating the value of his discoveries, he decided then to present these findings, to put them into practical testing, and to utilize them in line with various scientific fields. From early 2000, Taheri put his findings into practical use in various communities by holding home-based and private classes in the 90s. He officially introduced his viewpoints in this area by forming general classes at the public level. Taheri named his discovery the Erfan Keyhani حلقه. The founder of this school was sent to prison in the early 2010 due to the ideological conflicts with the Iranian regime, and after his release earlier last year, he resumed his research activities in this field once again. The school of thought established by Taheri has several subcategories, such as Sciencefact. This field of science is based on Taheri's theory, which redefines the structure of the universe comprising of consciousness, matter, and energy, in which case the consciousness is neither matter nor energy, and thus makes attempts to prove the impact of consciousness fields on human beings, animals, plants, microorganisms, cells, and molecules. Paradharmony and Scientology, complementary medicines, a software approach toward humans and software treatment of the body, the mind, and the psyche without trying any hardware intervention or manipulation. Software cognition or knowledge of existence, understanding the philosophy behind the creation and wondering where we come from. What destination are we heading to? And why and how is the creation formed, and etc. Recognition of non-organic beings, which is examining the experimental proof of the existence of non-organic beings, or in other words, living creatures with no known biologically vital organs. Taheri Academy. What distinguishes Master Taheri's approach from other existing mystical and philosophical schools is its empirical and testable basis of the teachings with regards to the individual and social dimensions, public health and treatment, the non-living and the living world. Therefore, here we are dealing with the repeatable experimental results for the volunteers, as well as testable findings through the experiments, both in experimental sciences and in the field of humanities. Currently, the teachings and findings of this approach are registered and published by Taheri Academy, available at www.mataheriacademy.com. and accessible to the public at Toronto, Canada. The main topics of the courses include the consciousness world, the consciousness fields and their types, functional mechanism of the conscious field, the levels and degrees of impression of the conscious fields, quantitative and qualitative features of the consciousness fields, and the ecosystem and its governing laws and principles. According to Taheri, there are approximately millions of public researchers and practitioners of the cosmic consciousness network all around the world now. These individuals are typically called announcers upon the cosmic consciousness network, who facilitate such experimental research activities through their volunteer 24/7 participation, just to deliver support to different people all over the world. For the moment, the Cosmo Intel Incorporation R&D department is busy expanding its scientific research activities and findings worldwide under the direct supervision of Mr. Taheri. Cosmo Intel Limited. Cosmo Intel Limited is the main monitoring center for the consciousness fields, research and studies founded by Muhammad Ali Taheri, which organizes purely scientific researches according to his theories and teachings. The scientific and executive team in charge of this website is referred to as the R&D team, including scientists and researchers from various fields of science from all around the world. Management of the R&D team, the overall structure of the scientific process, the final supervision of the projects, and the final decision on how they are to be applied and published are all determined by Mr. Muhammad Ali Taheri himself, all through the consultations and supervision of the specialized scientific teams under his direction will have a significant impact on the professional development of this institution. Participation at the scientific and professional team is welcome based on the expertise in various areas of science. If you would like to be on board with the R&D team of the Consciousness Field Studies, please send your resume to the following email address and wait for the call. admin@cosmointel.com. Vision. Registering the consciousness fields as a unique worldwide approach in the category of consciousness to perform basic and practical studies in the fields of basic sciences, humanities, medicine, and engineering. Introducing the consciousness fields academic degree in worldwide universities. Introducing the basics of the consciousness fields and the cosmic consciousness network and how to interact with them. Becoming a global center for studies in the field of consciousness with the ability to experience effective and meaningful interventions in the world of science. Mission. Focusing on research in various fields of basic sciences, social sciences, medicine, and engineering to obtain sufficient documentation to substantiate claims. Expanding collaboration with researchers and various centers to investigate the repeatability of data obtained through the Faraday-Money intervention. Comparison of results obtained from the consciousness fields intervention with other approved methods in the world of science to achieve similar effects. Finally, expanding the publication of abstracts, articles, books in the world-renowned conferences, journals, and publications. A summary of the theoretical principles of Professor Taheri's teachings. The Cosmic Consciousness Network, CCN. The universe, including all its living creatures and non-living things, are under a structural and functional rich network of data or awareness, which is called the Cosmic Consciousness Network. The relation of consciousness in interaction with matter and energy. From Taheri's point of view, consciousness is neither matter nor energy. Consciousness is a non-physical factor. It's the basis of the formation and creation of the world of frequency, or energy matter. So, consciousness cannot be explained or recognized through the physical concepts, equations, and etc. But the results of applying the consciousness field can still be detected and analyzed. Based on his concept, the behavior of particles within a consciousness field is different from other fields. So the personality or the real character of the particle will be different regarding which consciousness field it is in. A particle is formable, combinable, and decomposable. Therefore, particles can be restored and repaired if in touch with a certain consciousness field. The consciousness fields. In a novel approach by Professor Taheri, consciousness is introduced in form of specific fields with a non-matter and non-energy nature, named the consciousness fields, which bear direct consequences in the realm of both matter and energy. How to act and interact on the consciousness fields and the way to observe its impacts on the physical world all are a function to the specific laws and principles already explained and defined by Professor Taheri in his approach towards the theories of the consciousness fields and the cosmic consciousness network. The role of mankind in interacting with the cosmic consciousness network. The applied consciousness fields, according to Taheri, is mediated by human mind as an announcer, by which people connect to this universal internet as a user and then receive troubleshooting and software repair programs followed by corrections and the treatment. The conscious bond of parts, mechanism and dynamics of the conscious fields in the cosmic consciousness network. According to Taheri's theoretical principles, the general function of the consciousness fields occurs following to the conscious bond of the parts. A prerequisite for establishing a consciousness bond is the announcement process by the announcer. Details of these processes are given in the following sections. Each cell, along with the molecules and their microparticles, are made of vibrating fibers. In this theory, the factor that directs and creates these vibrations and movements is the consciousness that governs the universe, or the cosmic consciousness network. For example, the paradharmonic consciousness field influence begins with the connection between the human mind and the cosmic conscious network, and the circle or the link of consciousness bonding is established. Then, cosmic conscious network scans and modifies all components through human mind. Interacting with the consciousness fields. Announcement and the announcer. In order to apply the paradharmonic consciousness field, a trained individual announces the connection or the link between the subject under study and the cosmic consciousness network, here named the announcement. Since during the announcement, only the relation between the subject of study and the cosmic conscious network is called upon, and no active role is given to the announcer, the term intervention does not apply. Announcers are trained and certified individuals who took and completed specific training courses taught by Mr. Muhammad Ali Taheri and his validated trained masters. In these courses, the announcers theoretically and practically learn how to use and utilize the consciousness field and the cosmic conscious network. Announcement is a process in which Tahari or any certified announcer declared and sent the important information of the subject under study to the cosmic conscious network by just recalling his or her name, the agreed time, and the location of the subject. The subject under study can be any patient or any individual who is willing to experience the cosmic consciousness network and its functionality. Assigning the announcement. In order to assign consciousness fields for each study, researchers are required to submit an application providing a brief description of the study through the CosmoIntel website, which is www.cosmointel.com, in the Assign Announcement section. After submission of the application, any research can be done in accordance to the details of repetition and timing provided by each researcher anywhere in the world. Assessing the efficacy. In order to measure the effectiveness of the consciousness field, the desired parameters determining the effectiveness of the consciousness field have been measured by researchers unfamiliar with the consciousness field, comparatively between the sample and the control cases. Interaction with the world of science. Strategy as the first step. Apart from the theory and the functional mechanism of the introduced consciousness field, it seems that what must first be taken into account is the repetitive influence of consciousness field on the subject under the conditions of experimental research, especially in basic science. Introducing the Sciencefact as new science. Sciencefact explores the category of consciousness and considers the world affected by the cosmic consciousness network. It also discovers evidence of influence on the world of matter and energy through the consciousness fields. Such evidence is known by the originator of the method as the Sciencefact. The reason for this naming is because of its association with the world of science and the evidence that can be gained in experiments and laboratories. Science studies matter and energy. This view is generally quantitative and refers to the originality of the hardware section of the cosmos and its components. However, Sciencefact exclusively studies the section that is neither matter nor energy and views the cosmos and its components through the software originality perspective. In fact, the world of science is seen as a tool for the emergence of Sciencefact evidence. Diverse fields of study in Sciencefact. Studies in the field of chemistry and physics of subatomic particles, engineering, with emphasis on inorganic and organic materials and polymers. Studies in the field of cellular and molecular biology, microbiology, botany, and zoology. Studies in the field of humanities, such as psychology, basic and clinical, and sociology. Medical and clinical studies of various mental, psychological, and physical disease. For example, we can refer to some studies that have been presented to the world of science under the Sciencefact over the past decade. Consciousness Conference Sciencefact Studies, Arizona, 2020. Currently, the latest scientific activity to present the achievements of Sciencefact is the Arizona 2020 Consciousness Conference, each of which you will see briefly.